Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. This is Madhupriya, and thank you for joining the call today to help change makers do their best. I would like to start with maybe Asta, if you could just introduce yourself and briefly share about, what brings you here to the conversation about creating change.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to. Well, as you know, I'm Astha and I'm based here in Goa. I've been based here for the last 4 years. I moved during the pandemic. I'm one of those, a lot of cohort of people who moved from different parts of the country to Goa during the pandemic. I am in the social sector. I trained as a lawyer. I was a corporate lawyer for a while, and then I decided to shift sectors and I joined the development sector back in 2018. So been a part of this sector for a while. During this journey, I've been a trainer, a master trainer, a program management professional. I've written grants, done all sorts of things for different nonprofits. And now I work as a consultant and I'm working with nonprofits and social enterprises in the country, different organizations, and I'm supporting them in refining their programs, developing their monitoring and evaluation frameworks, and supporting them in donor stewardship, donor communications. So that's kind of broadly the things that I do. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Asta. That's quite a lot. Thank you so much. Uh, Josna, if you could just introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Madhupriya, it's so wonderful to have one of the fellows of the Goa School hosting the talk today. It's really a testament to the wonderful work that the Goa School is doing. I've been involved with Madhuri and team at the Goa School, I think, from the inception. I have started an organization called Lucknow Farmers Market, which is based out of Lucknow, as the name suggests. I have been organizing a physical farmers market for the last 12 years. And now, over COVID, we actually took it online. We are now connected with more than 5,000 startups and farmers groups, artisans, entrepreneurs across the whole country. And the aim is to basically have one platform where everything sustainable and green, where we talk about recycling, reducing our impact. And so the Goa School, of course, fits in very well into this because all of you are focused on the sustainable development goals. And there's so much awareness that's being created about sustainability. So I'm always very happy to come back and talk to the Goa School. Um, I've also mentored some batches of fellows here at the Goa School. It's such a great opportunity that the Goa School gives to people to actually be mentored and be part of a larger network of professionals in the area of your interest. So I actually started a nonprofit when I moved to Lucknow, now 14 years ago. And the aim was actually economic self independence for women. And we have a rural livelihood center in our village in Sadanpur in Barabanki district, which is run by the Digital Empowerment Foundation. And we support that. I also started the FICCI Women's Wing chapter here in Uttar Pradesh, which is now two separate chapters in Lucknow and Kanpur. So this is my area of now interest and work now is actually to help women become economically independent. And with our farmers market, we see more and more women of all ages, of all socioeconomic backgrounds, starting their businesses. And it's a wonderful supportive ecosystem that we've built where so many people come forward to actually support and provide mentorship and coaching and hand holding to women who are starting their own business. So I'm currently, this is very interesting that we're talking today about bridging the gap between non-profits and profit-making organizations because now I'm running both.
That's a wonderful combination, actually, for us to have two perspectives also. Thank you so much, Jyotsna. I love your background. The background speaks volume, actually, with all your awards and the certificates hung in the back. It's just lovely to see it. Thank you. Let us just focus a little about how our fellows could break barriers into their entry, right? So, we have many fellows who really feel intimidated by the idea of creating change because they could have many concerns like corruption, looking for donors or lacking the formal structure or the formal education as well. So, how would you address these fears, Josna?
I'm so sorry. What's the specific question?
So we have our fellows who feel intimidated by the idea of creating change because
Yeah.
they could have many concerns. It could be corruption or looking for donors or lacking formal education or formal structure. They could have various concerns. So how do you think we can address these fears? How the fellows can address these fears?
So now the opportunities are vast, because of the way that I think, firstly, the economy has changed. And now people are not comfortable with the status quo, right? People want to actually bring about a difference. With the Goa school, you get a network of so many other organizations who are already change makers. So I think the idea is to first connect with some organizations who are already doing what your aim is, what's your area of work, whether it's whatever, it's sanitation, it's climate change, it's something as simple as recycling. What Find the area that they have to find, what are they passionate about, and then connect with an organization that's doing that kind of work. Sort of just map your what you're wanting to do in simple doable steps, and just go for it. I mean, I think really there's nothing that should stop people from doing things in this age of social media, where it's so easy to start any kind of a campaign and to get people involved. So I think that's what they should do. Just plan it out, have a goal, and get a mentor, and put it into little doable bits and go for it.
Yes, yes, absolutely agree. So look for a source and try to attach yourself to it in the beginning, right? Yeah, thank you. Asta, would you like to add on your perspective too?
Sure, yeah. No, I completely agree with what Jyotsna said, that there are a lot of opportunities that are available now to make impact. I feel I feel that the fears that you mentioned, Madhupriya, they're like legitimate fears. For example, I work with a lot of nonprofits, and raising funds is always, a huge challenge. And like you said, the other things, they all exist. We, belong in a society. We have a lot of factors which are beyond our organization or even our individual control, environmental factors, political factors, and they are, they're not illegitimate fears. But like Jyotsna said, there are a lot of different ways to affect change. They don't necessarily have to be, you don't have to run an organization, you don't have to run a huge corporate to do something. You can, in your individual capacity, like Jyotsna said, find some ways to impact the society around you, the community around you. I feel that all individuals have different risk appetites. Some people are more risk averse. I'm a very risk averse person. I've always made very conservative choices in my career, but some people are risk takers, and huge respect to them. So I feel that all of the fellows of the Goa school and anybody watching, if they want to do something, they have to, like Jyotsna said, know what they are passionate about. And I think we will hopefully get to talk about this in more detail. But then also just know themselves well enough to know how much risk they're willing to take, what skills they have, what capacities, what resources, and then kind of enter the sector or enter the field, um, in what works for them individually. So I feel like it's not a one size fits all, and all of these risks and challenges exist. But like Jyotsna also said, there are resources available. Social media is a huge one. There's mentors available, networks available. I would just say that you have to know yourself and reach out to get the help that you need, and then you'll be able to, make an impact in the environment around you.
Yes, yes, I agree on how we should introspect. I love how Josna said, look for a similar source where you can attach yourself. And we have Asta telling, introspect to understand yourself better, right, as a start. So everything starts from ourselves. So I love that. And since we're talking about way, multiple resources or, multiple pathways to creating change. If we can just focus a little more on that, what do you think are some of the different ways someone can, begin making a social impact? Anything that you could think of? What are some different ways someone can begin making social impact?
Okay, so I'll start with this, and then we'll look forward to Asta also talking about it. So there's two or three different types of ways that, as a Goa School Fellow or as a individual, the basic thing is the change starts with you. The after all, the ocean is also made up of drops of water. So it's a small personal choice that can actually create a ripple effect. Look at what Greta Thunberg did. I mean, every change starts from one person. So whether it's switching to a sustainable product, a simple thing of just telling people about replacing a plastic toothbrush with a bamboo toothbrush. Think about the huge amount of waste that we generate with the number of toothbrushes that we use in a year. Whether it's about buying your produce from local farmers, okay, whether it's somebody just offering a green basket of produce that's available in their community, which they are sourcing from local farmers. So this individual action can be done by raising awareness through social media, conversations, talks in cafes, lifestyle changes that you do, and then you show people how you can do it, and then advocate for this. So it's about this individual action. Then you can go for actually personal advocacy within existing community structures. So this, you could leverage your existing networks, whether it's your neighborhood, your school, your college, your family or your workplace, to promote whatever change that you're looking at. So whether it's recycling, something simple as all the mountains of garbage that we have in every neighborhood. If people just do something very simple like just segregating their garbage and making compost, 70% of the garbage that we produce is actually gets turned into gold. It gets turned into compost. Um, so encouraging these practices in resident welfare associations, offices, or schools, you can practice some kind of advocacy. It could be any kind of advocacy. It could be in the aftermath of Women's Day, where everyone is talking about women's participation in the workplace. Women's participation in the workplace has actually now plateaued over a decade. So this is something that each of us needs to do something about, right? Whether it's menstrual hygiene awareness, these are all personal advocacy initiatives that can be done. Then you can organize small community initiatives, right, which you don't need a formal organization, like we mentioned, to create an impact. It could be a cleanup drive, it could be tree plantation, skill sharing. Then you can use your personal skills to address local needs, whether to a graphic designer can help NGOs create impactful social media campaigns. A lawyer offers free legal aid sessions to marginalized groups. I'm sure Asta will talk about that. Artists that can actually create murals to spread messages about climate change or gender equality. Starting your own organization is then the next step, right? So there are formal and informal NGOs and social enterprises, and just informal local initiatives that can be started. And after you start it, of course, then there's all the legal aspects. After 3 years, then you can get tax, exemption, and so on. So it can be an entrepreneur launching an ethical fashion brand, supporting local artisans, community-led farming collectives, promoting organic produce. So you just have to start with a clear mission, and you adapt it over time based on what happens. I advise always first join an existing organization or take advice from an existing organization. There's so many volunteer organizations like Bhumi, I Volunteer, Robin Hood Army, Teach for India across the country, which you can join so that you get to know what's the systematic way of doing things, right? And then also uh, you get the mentorship and coaching that's required. So the idea is that you need a network. Wherever we are now, we are not alone anymore because we have a huge network of people that we can tap into. So we need to engage with these people. And many people basically have similar goals. Let's find those people and make a difference together. Would you like, Asta, would you like to chip in?
Yeah, sure. No, that was so comprehensive because, like we said earlier, I mean, I feel like the central message that we're trying to send is that there is no one way to do things. And a lot of times, as individuals, just because this is how the human psychology works, we get very attached to the how we will do something when our focus should be on the why we're doing that. And if we're clear on the why, like what is the change that we want to make in society, for each of us, different things different things affect us. Some people are, just called towards animal welfare. Some people are called towards working with children in need. Everybody has a different calling. So I feel like when we're clear on why we want to do something with society, you said garbage cleanups. I was thinking about where in Goa, our beaches, there's always this trash piled up. So different things call you, and I feel like my message to the fellows would be aware of what this calling is, what change you want to see in the world. Is that Gandhi? I think that's Gandhi. And then don't get too attached to the how you make that change, because that, depends on so many factors, including resources, capacities, networks. There are so many different ways you can get engaged with that activity. Jyotsna is, I agree with you, being mentored or apprenticing with an organization that already exists is one of the best ways to learn, on the job how things work. Because if we're just starting out, when I was just out of college, I had the degree, whatever I studied, right? But you don't know how to use it in real life. And then you apply for internships, you do apprenticeships, you get entry level, associate level jobs, and you learn on the job. And those are that's one of the best ways to really know how things work, and even just to understand how the sector works, who are the key stakeholders, as we say, where does the funding come from, where does the money come from, who are the right people to advocate your cause to. So I feel like my message would be to focus on the why, and the hows, there are just like so many. And just to summarize what you said, Jyotsna, I want to add one more thing. One, you said, as an individual, you can volunteer, you can start small beach cleanups, love that. We see a lot of that in Goa. And, like you will realize that, oh, you're cleaning the beach every Sunday. You can see that this is you're focusing on the symptom and not the root cause. But what I want to say is that every problem exists on several levels, from the symptoms all the way down to the root cause. And I feel each of us, um, can intervene in that problem at whatever level is, feasible for us. So there is no, like, just because you're, doing beach cleanups and you're getting frustrated that actually nothing's changing. We need that as well. And then once you get attuned to it, once you understand what it takes, then, you're building those networks, you're making a name as a leader for yourself in the community. And then slowly you can start to, peel the layers and go back and try to figure out what are the root causes of that problem. And there you will need support from a lot of different stakeholders, your local MLAs, local panchayats, so many things then come into the picture. So I would just say every problem, has like a lot of layers. So don't be too focused on, okay, I'm only doing this, I'm getting frustrated, nothing's changing. These social ills have existed for decades, centuries, some of them millennia. So it will take time, and just intervene where you can. And yeah, just one thing I wanted to add was also working for the government. I mean, we're talking about affecting social change. And yes, NGOs, corporates with social missions, at an individual level, you can do so many things. But the government also is the hugest player in the social space. So working for the government, working for your local government offices, like that's a very important and very, very honorable way of contributing to society as well. And this is also, I guess, my call to young people to get more involved with local governments and governance and local government. I think we really need that. And apart from government, Jyotsna mentioned already a lot of different avenues which can be taken up. Thanks.
Thank you. Let us actually talk more about the local governance later. That's something that we could focus on while looking at different models. That could be one good way for people to start off as well. Is there someone who you've met in your career, who started really small and created meaningful change. Have you come across anyone like that, Josna or Asta? Josna, do you want to take it?
I have multiple people because of the kind of work that I'm doing with the Lucknow Farmers Market. I see people who actually have started grassroots level enterprises, and now over the last, say, 12 to 14 years that I've been involved with them, I've really seen personally how they have grown. Of course, a large example is the Robin Hood Army. I mean, the Robin Hood Army was started by one person, and now, I mean, they have millions of volunteers. They actually don't collect any funds at all, and meals are actually collected and given out. And no food. It's a huge impact on food wastage. So I joined Robin Hood Army when I had come to Lucknow to make my children, aware of, being part of a community. And so I've seen how they work. It's just amazing. And as for the small grassroots organizations, there's a lady called Pratibha Singh who started an organization called Rural Beat Enterprises. And she and her husband retired, and they moved to Sultanpur, to his village. And they started an initiative basically to help women with menstrual hygiene. They started a sanitary napkin plant, and they started a small skill development plant. And now, literally, tens of thousands of women are impacted by this. They have access to menstrual hygiene products. They have access to a center where they can come and work. They're making products. It's also supported by non-government and government. So it's really an example of how it's grown. Another quick example I'm going to give, because again she's done something really amazing, is Anjali Singh, who started Jute for Life. So the idea was to train women and to get them to make jute based. I think I have one of her products right here. Such beautiful folders they make, which you can brand, and all kinds of jute based products. And she got support from different government bodies, from international organizations. I think a Swedish, Netherlands based company. And it's just huge, the impact that both these organizations, Jute for Life, you can look it up and see the kind of impact they've made. So there are many such examples, but here are just a few.
I definitely need to look them up. This is very interesting. Thank you, Josna. Asta, would you like to add on?
Sure. I feel, there are so many examples. I feel most, at least I can speak for the NGO sector, not for the entire social space, but so many NGOs start because somebody noticed something, didn't like what they saw, and started doing something. I used to work for a nonprofit called Make a Difference. And such a small, humble beginning, the founder, he went to an orphanage just, for something to distribute sweets or whatever. And then, just decided to keep going there and engaging with the children, teaching them their school subjects, teaching them English week after week after week. And 15, 20 years later, it's a massive national level organization. And there's just like countless examples like this. But also, I do want to say that when we're talking about impact, a lot of the time we start talking about impact on a larger scale, like how many, cities this organization is in, or whether they are funded by international donors or not. But I feel that even a small organization working in one community and one community only, but having a long-term engagement with the residents of that community is equally, if not more, impactful in the lives of the community members. So just to say that as an aside, but a lot of national, and even my earlier nonprofit that I worked with in Kenya, they started off just as a small room. Somebody was inspired by something, and they brought a bunch of women, young women together, started training them in empowerment, self-defense. And now it's an international organization working across countries, across continents, funded by, US based government funders. Now I don't know what the funding situation is like, but just small things that just become big. If you focus on, since I'm a program design person, I say if you have a good program, if you have a good vision for what you have to do to affect change, to bring about the change that you want to bring about, small actions can eventually amount to really large change in society. Yeah, but just lots of examples, especially in the nonprofit sector, but also in the social enterprises space, as Jyotsna mentioned.
It's nice to hear inspiring stories,
Yeah.
and looking at the example, there are some people who accidentally fall into this and then they just get, excited or motivated by it and they just start doing stuff that they really never thought about doing. So that's how social impact changes a person. You see an impact and then you want to just keep giving more and more. It just keeps pulling you, towards to that. So we spoke about local governance, and I also understand Josna has an NGO and a profit organization as well. So if we can help our fellow students understand the different models available, so let us focus on that. If you could just explain the different models for creating change, from nonprofits to social enterprise or to profit approaches, how when can we use them and when are they appropriate at what stages? Josna, would you like to take it first?
Sure. So basically, the non-profit model is basically a mission-driven social change, right? Where you focus on a social outcome rather than the financial profit. So I started a non-profit because I started organizing a mango festival, and now, of course, the focus of my non-profit is economic independence for women. But my non-profit is called the Our Mango Growers Association, and it's focused on planting trees and environmental initiatives as well as livelihood initiatives. So the funding sources can be grants, can be donations, can be government funding, and this is best basically for advocacy, related work, which could be like human rights, gender, or climate action, anything that you want to raise awareness about. Service delivery to vulnerable populations also, like education for underprivileged children, food security like Akshay Patra and Robin Hood Army. So where market forces won't solve the problem, like rural healthcare, for example. Now Goonj uses urban surplus to support rural communities, right? They collect, they've made clothing a currency. Also, again, when we were talking about examples, is one person, Anshu Gupta, who apparently I heard him speak, where he was uh, in the mountains, for a religious pilgrimage, and he realized what it's like to feel cold, and he saw so many people without adequate clothing in the cold, and he realized cold actually kills more people than perhaps hunger does. And so this concept of collecting clothing, and then what Goonj does, they actually help in disaster relief, but they make sure that the rural communities, they rebuild and then they get their kit, right? So it's you're using a product, and it's actually a community that's making a difference within their own community themselves. It's not a handout, right? I'm connected with the Aga Khan Foundation agricultural initiatives here in UP in Bahraich. So the Aga Khan Foundation is a non-profit, but then when they support these for-profit agro initiatives come up, where these women are growing strawberries in Bahraich, and they're artisans who are creating craft-based, bamboo-based products. Obviously, they are working for profit, but they are supported by a non-profit. So then there's for-profit social impact, right, which is business as a force for some good. So the core idea is that the business solves a social problem while making a profit. So this is a market-based approach where you create revenue through product sales or services while integrating social good. Good example of this is Amul, which is a farmer-owned cooperative that ensures fair pay. I mean, it's done a huge, service, I think, to the nation and to people in general by bringing milk as a product, which is available in a clean way, and actually helping the farmers as well by giving them the processing capacity. So the long-term solutions where profit also fuels the expansion. There's bare necessities, zero waste personal care brand. Now it's just that here there's one thing which organizations should do is, there's a term called greenwashing. So there should be authenticity in the impact claims. Like, unfortunately, a lot of people put organic on their labels when it's not organic. So this is, organizations need to be ethical themselves, right? Balancing profit versus purpose is another, where financial stability, sustainability has to be done without compromising ethics. I mean, I think ethics is something that's really central to this whole profit and non-profit model. Then there's the hybrid, the models, the social and social enterprises, which is the best of both, where you have revenue generation and a social mission. So where you get financial independence and stay committed to social impact. In a sense, what we are doing at Lucknow Farmers Market, where we are supporting small farmers and eco-friendly businesses, and we've maintained a sustainable revenue model. So when we started a website, we were told now we have to actually do, it's a for-profit organization, but it's a social enterprise, right? The Aga Khan Foundation also implements climate resilient agricultural techniques to ensure sustainable farming. So where the end result is that the small farmer based initiatives are for profit, but they are being funded by this hybrid model, from support organizations. So the advantages are that they can have flexible funding sources. You can use grants like a non-profit and sales revenue like a business. And then, of course, it's very scalable. It can grow and adapt to the market needs, and then stay, driven still to your mission. So you still have a core mission, not your. Unfortunately, otherwise, for-profit companies, the mission is only making money, right? But you can still have a core mission supporting farmers or sustainability. And in the longer term, these are less dependent on external funding because again they have a profit base, right? So there's no one size that fits all. And now I hope Astha will jump in and add the relevant bits. So it depends on your what's your issue that you're taking up, what's the available resources, and what's your long-term vision. I think non-profits basically work very well for vulnerable groups which may not have access otherwise. And for-profits, on the other hand, can create sustainable impact through ethical business if they look at ethics. Unfortunately, many for-profit companies now have forgotten all about ethics. And hybrid models then combine the strengths of both.
Yes. Uh, I'm going to come back to you, Jyotsna, about Lucknow's farmers, to understand what you do there. Before that, Asta, would you like to share your perspective too?
Yeah, I would be happy to. I'm just trying to think of what to add. So I think for nonprofits, we're quite clear that these start off and they are expected to remain mission driven. It's about the social change that you want to see in society. Some causes that draw people are poverty, hunger, gender inequity, animal welfare, and then you're designing a program that solves for that problem. And you're just engaged. All of your energy, all of your resources are kind of spent in running the organization to solve that social problem. And you're not, worried about. I mean, you're worried about money, but you're not making money. You are reaching out to funders. You're reaching out to donors. You're explaining to them what your mission is, what you're doing to solve the problem, and you're relying on donations. So I think broadly, that's how nonprofits operate. I think there are different ways to incorporate nonprofits. I think there are 3 different ways to do that in India. And then, that's your life. You're solving that problem. But for-profits, obviously, traditionally, historically, for-profits are to make profit. They are, but, I do want to say that over the last few decades, a lot of changes have also come about in the for-profit sector where, like social intentions of have also been started to be given more prominence in corporate discussions as well. I think as humanity, we've reached a point where corporates which mobilize and are holders of so much funding, and we need funds to solve social problems. It's very important that for-profits, corporates are engaged in solving these problems, and a lot of different mechanisms have come about to make that happen. Obviously, we've all heard about CSR, corporate social responsibility, which is now sort of enshrined in Indian law, which mandates corporates above a certain threshold to contribute 2% of their profits, or there's different ways to calculate it into social initiatives. They can do that by either starting their own foundations, and many corporates won't, do that, or they can just grant money to nonprofits to, solve for their problem, the mission that they are working towards. For greenwashing, it is true, and actually, I think it's also happening because a lot of the new age millennial and Gen Z consumers are very much concerned with social issues, environmental issues. And for companies, there's a sort of a pressure on them to engage those consumers, for which they might be engaging in greenwashing activities. Like Jyotsna said, it's very, very unethical. And hopefully, and there are some mechanisms in place now at an international level, even at a national level, where companies can apply for certain certifications. And if they get those certifications, that means that they are doing their social responsibility, environmental responsibility in an ethical way. So I feel a lot of companies are going in that direction and applying for those the relevant ISO certifications. There's a lot of other certification standards that you can sort of apply for. And when you get that badge, then it inspires confidence in your customers that this company is actually really intending to make change in whatever sphere is their domain. So I feel like for the fellows, like we said, I think the key point is that all of these different modes are just modes of affecting change, and all of them have to play, they're all working together. Like, we cannot say that corporates are just in their own, stratosphere, and nonprofits are different, government is doing something else. All of these players have an equally important role to play in society. And in fact, I think we're at a point in humanity's evolution where if all of these forces do not come together now, in fact, yesterday, we are looking at a lot of irreversible harm to be done on the planet. So just to say that each of these organizations, modalities, have a very, very important part to play in changing society for the better. But yeah, the differences are compliance related and tax related. Those are intricacies that we might not want to get into. But each of them has the potential to make incredible change in society, corporate, not-for-profit, or hybrid organizations.
Exactly. It's not like who's better, right? It's only about
exactly.
It's like we do need to coexist and be put in the right use appropriately in the right time to bring the social impact that we are looking at. So, uh, going back to Jyotsna, I would like to understand how Lucknow Farmers Market balances the profit needs with the social impact.
Okay, so it's exactly how we were talking about the sort of the hybrid model. Um, what we are doing is we are actually supporting the farmers from the point of view of giving them access to the right know-how, connecting them with agricultural, or with 12, 14 brands. Actually, because I have a marketing background myself, helping them make their products relevant to the market and incubating them in a sense myself. But obviously now we have 5,000 brands over 14 years, so I don't know most of them even personally, but the idea is to connect them to all these incubators, right? Connect them with mentors, connect them with incubators. So when we are able to do this and give access to people, so where they have a zero waste or a sustainable approach, which creates demand for organic produce. We are a direct to consumer model, so we've removed the middlemen, ensuring better earnings for the farmers. They are able to have bulk sales as well as individual. We don't have to underestimate actually the power of the individual customer, because if individual customers are actually buying from farmers, they are the greatest force for good, because they, through word of mouth, can actually tell people how it's better for their health and make sure other people do it too, right? Obviously we need large purchases too, but for small farmers it's the best way to do it. Then, of course, the training and support for small entrepreneurs and for the farmers groups, the self-help groups, helping them scale their businesses by connecting them to the right organizations. We are able to address these economic and social problems also. One is, of course, the eco-conscious consumer engagement, right? Because we are helping to create awareness and then build demand for sustainable products, from bamboo toothbrushes to natural. We have such amazing guys in the Northeast who are making these beautiful bamboo bags. So what I showed you, like the folder. I mean, why can't we use these lovely jute folders instead of the plastic folders that are given out in huge numbers at all conferences? Women-led enterprises are a focus area really for me, and it's a platform for them to grow. Events and workshops that we do to drive awareness about local and organic food, traditional foods, how it's better for your health, creates immunity. Otherwise, in Himachal Pradesh, the farmers only want to grow those shiny red apples. They don't grow chulai. There are many kinds of dal that farmers have stopped growing because people have stopped buying it, right? So now we don't need only quinoa. Right now, there's awareness that so many local products and only millets are not what's supposed to be eaten. The different types of rices. Now, rice has been given such a bad name by all the dietitians. Now, locally grown rice actually, and if you're eating the whole rice, has a lot of benefits. And you see, there are a lot of people now with all the GMO foods where people have gluten intolerance, right? So we should, there's locally grown products, seasonal products, traditional products. There's health benefits to eating all those. The people who traditionally grew them, we need to make sure that their product reaches the market. So we had this initial resistance. The challenges were the initial resistance, but the consistent education. Because now, why should I buy a cold pressed oil which costs, where a normal mustard oil would cost, say, 80 rupees for 500 grams, and why should I pay 140 rupees or 120 rupees? But the idea is, when you are sick, you spend any amount of money in the hospital for any treatment that's going to make you all right. So why not make your food your medicine before your medicine becomes your food, right? So of course, sustainability is a key for the revenue model. Also, then again, it helps us hopefully have a long-term impact. A lot of community engagement. We do a lot of collaboration and partnerships with NGOs, with other businesses. Um, yeah, so this has been our journey for the last 12 years, and I see it only growing. And again, because climate change is something all of us have to think about. Now it's not climate change, we're in climate crisis. We used to talk about how, for a better tomorrow, we should make these changes. Now it's today. We see how the climate has changed. Asta, we met in Goa just last week. Look at the temperatures across the world. There's just, we don't know when there's going to be huge natural disasters, floods, droughts, high temperatures. So basically, farmers have also lost that assurance on their crop, because last 2 years ago in Lucknow, in this area of UP, where mango is the largest crop, we had 40 degrees in early March, which meant all the mango trees, the flowers dried up. And so it had a huge impact on the mango crop. So it's about rains, it's about how it actually impacts our economy, because we are also an agrarian, agricultural economy. And so this is something that we all need to work on. It has to be a focus area. I hope.
Sustainability is something that we have to keep in mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, so just we speak about different models now for a fellow who has no resources in hand, right? So, what specific advice would you like to give our fellows who want to start creating a change right now? With whatever resources they have, they currently have. Yes, we just spoke about climate crisis where it is now. So, for fellows to start a social impact, how can they do it with their current resources? What would be your advice?
Asta?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I think I'm just going to summarize some of the points that we discussed in the beginning of the call. I feel the key message to remember is that everyone can contribute in some way, and and your position, your resources, your capacities will change throughout your life. Every 3 years, you'll be in a different situation. So I would say that wherever you are now, we talked about introspection. So introspect, there are tools available online which can, just like you can Google these things and there'll be worksheets, there are prompts. You can just answer those questions for yourself, get to know yourself better, see you're all in the Goa school, so I'm assuming that all of you already want to do something in society. You already have that calling, and you may already know that this is what really draws you, attracts you. This is a problem that, you want to solve. Have that clarity, approach local organizations who are already sort of working in that area. They might not have a job for you, but maybe you can volunteer, maybe you can intern. Um, some of the fellows, I understand, also have full-time jobs. Some might not. Either way, you can decide for yourself how many hours you are able to spend on these things. And according to that situation that you're in, you can speak to local organizations or local leaders, local activists. You have to understand your community, who's doing what there. And I feel that the fear that we discuss, some of these things are just beyond our control, and we just have to know this is my area of influence. And I would just say, get started. And every one of us who entered the social sector, whenever we did, were so, enraptured by it that after starting, it just, becomes a whole like juggernaut. And then slowly doors start to open and things start to make sense. But you have to take that first step, even if it's a volunteering at your local animal shelter 2 hours on Sunday. It's fine. And I think slowly, and you have to keep revisiting these questions, these prompts that we discuss, maybe once every year. You can talk to yourself, you can understand where you are, how much money you have. If you have some money, you can even think of donating to your local nonprofits. You don't have to, if you don't have the time, maybe you have the money. There are so many ways of intervening in this sector. So I would just say, know where you are, what resources you have, who's doing what in your society. Talk to people, share your concerns, and something will probably, happen, and you'll be able to contribute. And then, things will take their own course. It can take years, months, decades. That's just how it is.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So before I move to Jyotsna, if I may, I would just like to add a few points, my 2 cents over here. So just a one-liner, about this is about me, and I'm a first generation learner in my family. Okay, and I'm the first girl in my family to have actually completed a master's and work in a corporate. Okay. So the change in my family happened because of education. So as I was just saying about introspect and look at how you can create the change. Could be 2 hours a day, or it's not about the scale in which we're doing, right? It's not about the quality or the quantity. It's about how you want to contribute to the society, how you want to bring in a change, and no matter how minuscule it is. So, in that sense, I told you about how my life changed because I was educated enough to bring a change in our family. So, what happened is I come from a very middle class family. We're not well to do and we're not settled and all. But when I was in college and when I used to see kids struggling to pay their tuition fee or college fee, we used to crowd fund. I used to get help from people and pay their fee. And then when I started working, this is close to 4 years ago, I thought, it was a little difficult for me to when I went and asked people to help for the education of a underprivileged child, because what is the trust value I bring in for someone to just randomly give me money like that, right? So I just started an NGO and it's called Heads High. Like as I was saying, this is not large scale, and I'm okay with that. It's really not about full time getting into an NGO. I am a full time mom. I'm a working mom. I work, so hard. I'm also a social media influencer, so my plate is completely full. but my calling to help other underprivileged students to educate and change their life, like how mine did, my contribution is there. So I said, okay, let me have an NGO in place so that people can trust me. They can have a face value to what we are doing, and that's how I started the NGO. It's been 4 years now. For the first year, I had only 2 referral, or if I see some more slum areas of the neighborhood, from my place. So 2 students in the first year, and in the second year I had 8 students. Last year I have 4 students. So I really don't mind. If next year I don't have any students, I'm okay. Or next year if there are going to be 15 students, more than happy. But like you said, I just wanted to add this here saying this is also a part of what I'm doing. And I'm not a full time, and I don't look at it as a full time as well. Even if it's a small impact, I'm happy about it, and I'm going to continue doing that. So I just wanted to add that to Asta's point. So
Thank you for sharing. I didn't know, though I said a long time ago when we were talking about this is what an NGO means.
thank you so much. Coming back to Jyotsna on your perspective on this, please.
Wow, Asa, I'm so inspired hearing Madhupriya, sorry, about what you're doing. It's really very inspiring, and that's exactly uh, the thing, that if you have something that you're passionate about, that's what we were talking about. That it's the answer to the question that you asked us, that how can the fellows create change. Since you're passionate about this and it's something that made a change in your life, you're showing how you are doing it, right? So I think whatever resonates with people, Asta has already talked about how it can be done, but it's about finding that area of passion, because I think anybody can do what they can with what they have wherever they are, right? And they have to be small, actionable steps. So, exactly like you're doing, tutoring children in the that you've started. And also, once somebody starts it, they have to basically find their community. I think Helen Keller said it best, that alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Also documenting and building credibility. Now, if you're doing this thing with the children, if you just maintain their report cards, maintain a folder with their little successes, the awards they get. I mean, after 10 years, who knows where it's going to go. So it's all about just taking those steps, seeking guidance, finding a mentor, using free resources. There's so many free resources available online also, online courses, podcasts, networking events. So it's not the strongest of the species that survive, right? Like Charles Darwin said, not the most intelligent, it's the most responsive to change. It's the cockroaches. So maybe we have to be a cockroach to survive, right?
Being a cockroach is very much important.
Absolutely.
Especially in this field, it's sometimes it feels thankless, and when we don't see immediate result, it could demotivate. So yeah, this cockroach theory is very important for us to keep in mind. So let us talk about mentors. You both are here as mentors today, but I'm sure you had your own mentor. So what role has mentorship played in your journey, and how can our fellows find appropriate mentors?
So your fellows,
Asta? Yeah.
Goa School fellows, of course, have fantastic mentors because of the way that Madhuri and Paloma and the team have structured the Goa School. I think there's, I don't know, 70 or 80 people as a network across the world that you can tap into. I think my first mentor was probably my own parents, because they started a business. My father was actually studying maths at St. Stephen's, and then they decided to move back to their village to Punjab, and they started a honey business, and they impacted the lives of thousands of farmers because they trained landless women and widows in beekeeping. So by giving out bee boxes, and then they'd buy back the honey, and they had a processing unit. So they provided livelihood and employment and a skill to thousands of farmers across Punjab. So seeing the work that my parents did, I think they were my first mentors. And then, over the years, so many of the organizations people have been connected to, people like the ones I mentioned, uh, Pratibha Singh, Anjali. We see the people who started organizations like Goonj, like Robin Hood India. So these are people who, I mean, a personal mentor of mine, Archana Garodia Gupta, who was a past president of the FICCI ladies organization. She's an entrepreneur and an author and just an amazing person. So people who you can bounce ideas off, could be previous professors of yours. So just you know, a small group of people can change the world, right? That's just something that you have to be sure of what change you want to bring about, and then the people just fall into place.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Jyotsna. Asta?
Yeah, I can't think of much to add. I feel that mentorship, especially when we're like early career, or even mid-career. For example, I transitioned from full-time roles into consulting just last year. These are these major inflection points in your career, in your life's journey, where it is just so important to have someone to bounce ideas off. Like Jyotsna said, like it's just so important. I'm really glad, it's really nice to hear that the Goa school does match fellows with mentors. I think that's excellent. It's really nice to have these formal mentorship structures, but also informal mentors, like Josna said, parents, neighborhood uncles and aunties, neighborhood leaders. But it's really, yeah, it's so crucial to career success, or like, leading a meaningful life, to have someone who's been through ideally what you're going through and can guide you and answer some of your questions. Just really, really important. I'm thankful to my mentors through the years, because of whom I have had the courage and the confidence to make certain big decisions in life. So yeah, really happy fellows have mentors, and but also look out for informal mentors, just people around you, your friends who know you and can guide you, can help you, and be open to receiving that help. I think some of us also have trouble with that. So yeah, just being open to receiving the guidance and mentorship. That's important.
Yes, thank you so much. We can actually go on and on talking about this. There's so much to speak about, so much to learn. But again, we are on a time frame, so we really have to close. So, what is your final message to our fellows, who want to make a difference? Maybe just
So the thing is that I think number one, change doesn't require any permission. You're not waiting for somebody to tell you bring about a change. So it's a small intentional step that you need to take. So whether it's individual action or it's joining an existing initiative or launching a movement, it's your effort. It's that small, that drop in the ocean which really makes a difference. So just start where you are. No step is too small. Build a support network, stay adaptable, learn and pivot and grow as you go along. Balance, I think, your purpose with sustainability, whether it's non-profit, whether it's social enterprise or for profit. I think ethics and integrity is something that's key. Keep the bigger picture in mind. How is your work contributing to a larger movement for positive change? And I think you find people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world, and you can do it. I think Steve Jobs said that. So just take action today, because we need that, right?
yes, act today. Thank you, Asta.
Oh, I love that. Agree with everything Jyotsna said. Don't have too much to add. I would just say to the fellows who are actively contemplating joining the madness. Welcome to the roller coaster that is life in the social sector. And yeah, just an open invitation to reach out to ever have a discussion about the nonprofit world or just how to, uh, do some of those things that we discussed today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just my 2 cents to my um, alumni and my fellow students, fellows there. I've been in the Goa school, so for me, I think it's consistent drive and consistent action that actually, help seize individual results. So just putting it out there. But thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation. I just loved every single point, and I could totally, relate with it as well. There's so much learning for me too. So thank you, Asta, once again for putting your points here and helping our fellows understand various perspectives. And Jyotsna, thank you so much for also showing us the products and showcasing, showcasing real, achievements to our fellows as well. I love this and thank you so much.
Thanks a lot,
It was
Priya.
lovely, Madhupriya, particularly having you host this session. This shows the success of the mentorship model, and we look forward to seeing more fellows and where they are now and where they are on their journeys. I think that really shows the success of initiatives like the Goa School.
Thank you. I totally agree. In fact, when they reached out to me to host the show, I was a little hesitant. I said, no, I've not done a hosting, I've not really been a host to any show, so I'm not sure if I can do it. And this is exactly where mentorship plays a role. Paloma was like, no, you can do it. I think you will be able to do it. So again, the importance of mentors is another proof here. She said, no, you can do it, just give it a try. So this is my first time hosting a panel discussion. And I'm really happy that I said yes. I take pride in this, especially in line with Goa School. So thank you so much for the opportunity to Goa School as well.
I
Very
think
nice. So 3 cheers for Paloma, I think. Paloma is
Yeah.
really central to the Goa School, and so many people have been helped by this and Madhuri. But Paloma, really, thank you. 3 cheers for you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm
I
gonna
just
pause
wanted to
here.
say that
Sorry.
that Madhupriya has a very bright future as a podcast host as well.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely,
something to
Madhuri.
think about, Madhu.